Hey folks, it's Wade the Shoe Dog, and I'm going to show you what's in our shoemaking DIY kit. First of all, you got the pattern, you've got a toolkit, you're going to have leather, you're going to have shoelaces, you're going to have footbed foam, basically all the special stuff you're going to need to make a shoe. We've taken the time and effort to put it together into the box for you. Um, the pattern is there, right? You don't have to go online and download it and print it out and worry about you got the right size or whether it fits or not. It's it's here in the box. Um, you're going to need some tools that you're going to need sort of a cutting mat. You're going to need a sharp pair of scissors, an X-Acto knife could help depending on what technique you're going to use. You're going to need a tube of glue. Barge, all-purpose cement, or any shoe glue you can get on Amazon is good enough for this project. You're going to end up sewing the outsole on anyway, so some good all-purpose contact cement will work. You're going to need a hammer because you've got a lot of holes to punch and all that. So what we're going to do some real shoemaking technique, right? We're going to do what's called a strobel. And a strobel is when you take the upper of the shoe and you sew it onto the lasting board. Now, you could use this kit to make lasted construction, and that's a little more advanced. And we're gonna get to that in a bit. When I say in a bit, in a week or two. But basically, right now we're gonna show you how to do a strobel, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna sort of hyperlapse through this, and we'll show you how this works. So it's easy. You're gonna take your paper pattern pieces. You're gonna tape them down, and you're gonna punch your holes. Are you gonna punch through the pattern? Yeah, no big deal. Just punch through the pattern. If an edge rips, just put some tape on it. Not a big deal. You're gonna use it. You're gonna end up using it twice because you got to make the right side of the shoe and the left side of the shoe. So just go ahead, tape it down, punch through it. Don't worry about it if you damage it. On the tongue, okay. So like I said, these parts are actually um, you're gonna this is the right side. You're gonna flip them over to make the left side. This part obviously you're gonna flip to make left and right. The tongue is, it looks like it's symmetrical. It's not. This is the left. You're gonna turn it over to make the right. And this little toe cap here is symmetrical, so left and right doesn't matter. Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna trace the parts and you're gonna cut them out. Not that big a deal. I would take the time to make sure you mark and organize left and right. That'll keep things easy. When you're cutting, try to cut just inside the line, right? Because you're gonna trace around the outside of the part. You're gonna want to cut just inside the line. Number one, to remove your cutting mark, but number two, if you cut outside the line, that's gonna make your parts bigger. Which it's not a huge deal if it's just a little bit, but it's good practice to not do that. Now, when you get to the back seam of the shoe, you'll see in a second, this area here, I like to leave a little bit of extra material outside of the marking. And the reason I do that is so that after I assemble the shoe, I can come back and cut it and make it nice and even and smooth. That's my build tip. If you're watching the full 4 hour video, I'll interrupt on occasion. I'll fly in and I will tell you, hey, look out for this special thing here, whatever. I'll give you some special tips. Okay, so that's it. Basically, you're gonna mark the things you're gonna cut. You're gonna stitch. Um, it's gonna take you a couple hours to do all that marking, cutting, and stitching. No problem. Hey, it's important actually when you're cutting this part right here, right on both pieces, and in this line on the top of the toe cap, right, make sure these are as good as you can do because this is what's front and center on the shoe. Okay, there's your pro tip. Um, okay, when it comes time to stitching, I'm going to show you the typical. Oops, sorry, back up, back up. If you want to use metal eyelets, I walk you through how to use it. Inside the kit, we have the setting base, the rivets, and I like to bring a barbell. It's a nice heavy piece of metal. If you have a bench vise, you can do it on your work surface, but I find that having a solid piece of metal makes pounding the rivets in a little easier. But again, with our little tool and a hammer, it's pretty easy to set the rivets. And there's enough rivets and enough colors that you can actually practice so you don't mess up your workpiece. And also, we'll take a break in the middle of the video and I'll show you a couple of stitching techniques. And then again, there's enough extra material in your kit so you can cut out a square and you can do some practice stitching, right? So I've shown you how to do that. Like when I do the build, I'm not using black thread for my build, so I'm taking a little scrap piece and a little extra of the black thread, and I'm just gonna practice. You could do the same. Okay, sew the pieces together, and the order of operations is pretty simple. You're gonna sew the back together. You're gonna sew the front together. You're gonna see that we're gonna actually sew the front pieces together, just like what's on the screen. We're not gonna we're not gonna put the vamp on, right? We're gonna sew these other pieces. The vamp we're gonna save for later. Okay. Why is that? We want to be able to get inside the shoe to do the channel stitching and the gluing, right? So we'll leave that vamp off for now, right? That's actually the last step you're gonna do. So once you've got the upper stitched, you're gonna stroble on, you're gonna stroble stitch the lasting board, right? And this one is pretty simple. You're just gonna sew the leather on, and you're gonna make sure that it just touches the edge. It's not like in the picture here, it shows it sitting on top, but we're gonna actually have to release the tension to make sure that you're just sitting on the edge, right? Not on top, and that will make the upper easy to fit onto your outsole. It works really nice. Okay, so hey, if you mess up, you can just release the tension. Not a big deal. Okay, so there's our stroble, and then basically you're gonna take your tube of glue and you're just gonna spread the glue on. You're gonna put it on the outsole. You're gonna put it on the upper. You're gonna let it sit for a few minutes. If you have a heat gun or a hair dryer, that can speed things up. But just get a nice coating of glue, and then you're gonna just press the pieces together. And because there's no tongue in the way, you can go around the shoe just by hand and work the seam. Now I show in the video how you can use a last. If you have the last, which we have available here on the website, and this last is compatible, and actually if you get the last, you can use it for other builds that we have. The other patterns we have are compatible with that last, so you have lots of stuff you can build with it. And then the last, sorry, not the last, but then after that, you're going to sew the outsole on, and I'll show you how to use the stitching awl, how to sew it up, and that'll secure your upper to the outsole. So you have the glue and you have the stitching, and that makes the shoe look pretty nice. Okay, that's that. The next thing you're going to do is, or it's actually the last thing you're going to do after you channel stitch, is you're going to sew the vamp on. Okay, and it takes a little bit of effort. It could be a little tricky, but basically this is the last operation. Just using double needle technique, you'll sew the vamp on. Not that complicated. Again, it takes a little bit of time, but with a little practice, and I show you how you're going to do double needle. I'll show you all that stuff in the video. You'll put the vamp on. That's it. Put the footbed in, put the laces on, and you made a pair of shoes. It's just like that. So again, we have a full 4 hour long build video. You could have that video running as you build, pause, fast forward, whatever. There's some sections like this vamp stitching and the channel stitching where it's hyper looped, but usually I'm kind of giving you tips the whole way through, so you're not doing this alone. And hey, if you run into trouble and we don't answer your question in the video, there's another FAQ video. And also, hey, you can just send me an email or give me a call, and we really want to help you. We really want to help you build this kit. Hey, if you're a student and you want a discount, if you're a teacher and you want to get this kits for students or a summer program, we do have discounts available for that. So hey, folks, enjoy the kit. It's a great way to get started. This is real shoemaking technique. And with these things, that's a great springboard to move on to more advanced shoemaking techniques. So that's it, folks. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Bye.